All right, this is Joe Hashi with another episode of Level Up Your Gym. And today's going to be an interesting episode for me. I got introduced to Carlos Castro through a client of mine, Billy. So Billy uses Level Up the Gym, help him grow his gym a little bit in Colorado Springs. And I always ask people, who should I talk to in the industry? And he said, you have to talk to Carlos. And Carlos was kind enough to say, all right, I'll sit down for 15 minutes and talk. So it's a special episode. Carlo, could you please introduce yourself to the listeners and tell us a little bit about your journey and where you are today?
Well, I first want to start saying that I received a lot of very good comments about you.
Oh, thank you.
Our friend in common really talks highly about you, so that's great. And of course, I'm always willing to sit down with you and help our community of trainers, gym owners, to make everything better for all of us. It's it, it's a theme. It's a part of the economy. So if we make it grow, we'll all be better. So why not?
Yeah, that's awesome, Carlos. I appreciate your kindness. And so, what's your little bit of your background in fitness and how are you in Dubai right
Yeah,
today?
I am in Dubai in this moment. Yeah. Well, I've been like doing this formally. I would say for the last 20 years. First started as a personal trainer, from reading books and so on, and then I got like properly certified, but by one of the best strength coaches in the world, and I worked hand to hand with them for 5 years. I started my own practice in my own gym in Colombia about 10 years ago. And it's I have to say it's a very successful gym. It's only personal training, and even with the pandemic and everything, we took all the proper measurements and so on. And yeah, of course, the number of clients declined because people were afraid. But we're doing great. I cannot complain. And on the strength training field, I teach strength training all around the world. And I teach nutrition and supplementation. I have several different classes, and that's why I'm in Dubai in this moment. I was teaching last week a series of 4 or 5 classes. The first one is metabolic balance, which is the 14 sites in the body. The second, third, and fourth were program design based classes. The first one is the assessment of the client, the full assessment of the client. Second one is all the science behind writing a training program, proper training program, I should say. And the third one was how to tailor those training programs based on your neurotransmitter profile. So yeah, I've been around for quite a bit, and students are always happy. They always the most common thing I hear is that I recover my investment in your class for in the next 3 months, including the trip, because
That's
they
awesome.
become better trainers. They understand different things that normally not everybody does, and that makes them better, and that makes me happy. That to me is like the best reward after teaching a class, receiving those type of comments.
Yeah, and in a moment, I'm going to ask you to share your 3 tips for gym owners and trainers. But before we even get to that, I think you hit on one of the main ones. It's been a theme on a lot of these calls is continuing education, that you need to be humble enough to admit that there's things you don't know and there's better people in the field. It's kind of that 20 to 25-year-old phase is like, I know everything. And then by 30, you realize you know nothing. There's so much out there to learn.
Absolutely, I 100% agree with you. And well, since when you mentioned that you're going to have 3 questions, one of the things we're going to be keep studying. You might have learned from some of the best people in the world. It doesn't matter. I can say for fact that you will find somebody that can teach you something extremely valuable, whether in the weightlifting field or I don't know, in the strength training field or energy system training field, whatever you want, or even in business perspective, so you can manage your gym better. You can provide better service to your clients and so on. Education, I've always said that education is a never-ending process, and I educate myself every single day. I read, research at least 8 hours per week. and I read on different topics, the topics I teach the most. So I read on nutrition, supplementation, and strength training, of course. And you find very interesting things. And whenever I have doubts, I don't know everything. That I know for a fact. I have people I can call and say, hey, listen, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? I sit down with my fellow coaches, and it's funny. A very good friend of mine is Tony Parra from the Dominican Republic. He's an extremely good strength coach. And every time I go there or we meet, it's like, hey, how are you? Good. How's your family? Good. Okay, start talking. And we just talk for hours about strength training, about cases. What do you think about it? What would you do in this case? Blah, blah, blah. One day we sat down to do a periodization model for one of his athletes for, I don't know, 3 hours in front of a whiteboard, just erasing, no, we should do this here. No, what about this? Blah, blah. So, and that teaches you a lot. It's a matter of, we don't know everything. No one knows everything. You can be the biggest expert in one field, and you will know this much in that field, but all the rest of the fields are empty. So it's even more the level of knowledge that you should whether acquire or outsource, however you wanna call it. Which takes me to a point that is interesting, and it's that uh, you mentioned being humble, and you must be humble enough to know that first of all you don't know everything, and second you cannot fix everything. There are certain things that you cannot fix. You cannot address whatever it is, a physical therapy, manual treatment, an ART treatment, whatever it is, and you have to refer people. And so the next point will be get a good team of people you can refer to. So have your team of doctors, have your team of therapists, have your team of whatever your clients need. If you don't address nutrition, have good nutritionists and so on, in such a way that you can provide like the best rounded service to your client. They go for you for the training, but they also go to you for the advice that they might get in order to reach that other valuable people. But you have to be mm, like you have to dig in the brains of the people you are going to refer to, because you want to refer to probably the best people in the field, right? Because you don't want your clients to get a bad experience or something similar. So um, you also have to do your homework, finding the right people to refer to.
That makes a lot of sense because you're attaching the trust they have in you to that other person. If that person validates or doesn't come through for them, that's a knock on the trust they have in you. If you're not referring to a quality person, and it devalues your opinion in their eyes. And you hit the nail on the head. A lot of times I'll get asked like, how do I get PTs to refer to me? Well, you find ones that are really good and refer to them and
Yeah,
value that relationship.
exactly.
And
I mean, a world is a matter of relationships. That's
it's
what
it
human beings are.
I like to see how this conversation goes because it does roll into a lot of things where we talked nutrition and fitness and doctors and nutritionists, things that we can refer out to, and having a network. Something that's come around in the last couple of years of running our company is understanding that there is a limitless number of topics is running a business that you need to understand. And I'll give an example. We did the front entrance way, and I was proud of it. And I had one of our members who was a hospitality expert, like, look at this. And basically it was hot garbage. And she fixed it all for me because she was a hospitality expert. And I just thought I knew some things about making an entrance way. Oh, no, you need to have this here. The sign's got to be here. You have to make sure these corners are clean in a certain way. You should use this color. And it was just so interesting to be like, wow, it could be that, it could be a front desk setup, it could be exercise and programming. That there's so much to learn that if you kind of get over yourself and be vulnerable and say, hey, I don't know, and ask for help, you'll have a great network of people that can help you out.
Exactly. Building a network is probably one of your most valuable assets uh, in any business.
Very, very true. What's the next tip you have for people? We've already done probably two or three, but let's keep rolling.
We can go on. It doesn't matter. In my opinion, it doesn't have to be three. Whatever we think could be better for gym owners will be amazing. One thing that I experience a lot of times is when I travel, is finding small plates, small increments in weights. So, for example, the gym I'm training here is not a bad gym, but the dumbbells jump whether from 2 kilos and 2 kilos or 2.5 and 2.5. Of course, yeah, you can jump. You can make a small jump if you're lucky enough. You can go from 6 to 7.5 or 7.5 to 8, whatever. But it's not common. And same thing for plates. So if you're doing an exercise like an external rotator, and you're going to go from 8 kilos to 10 kilos or from 10 kilos to 12 kilos, it's a 20% increase. What are the chances that you get the reps that your client needs to do? It's a muscle that is not going to move a lot of weight. So increasing the weight by 20% is like, okay, this is a lot. So my recommendation is always buy those, what was the name? Plate mates.
Yeah, little
Those
magnets.
magnets, and they attach to everything. To everything. You can even attach them to the plate, not plate loaded machines, to the selectorized machines. You can put them on the plates of that selectorized stack, and just increase, for example, leg curls little by little. Let's say you need to do a rehab, and you need to rehab whatever, a torn hamstring. Are you going to jump for 15 pounds and 15 pounds? No, you can tear the hamstring again. You have to go very slowly, and you have to be very careful. And also with the bars, for example, when you're testing somebody's 1RM or you want to do some testing, you need to be precise. And the brand I like the most for that are Eleiko, or Eleiko, how it's called in the US. They have from 0.25, 0.5, blah, blah, blah. And when you get those things, you can manage everything better. You can provide the right weights, and when you provide the right load to the to the specific structure, what you are actually doing is creating a better response of that structure to the workout you're providing to the client. Sorry for the redundancy, and you'll have a better progress, and
Yeah,
you will prevent a lot of possible injuries, because strong rotators, like jumping 20% is literally an extremely big jump. It makes no sense at all. And if your client is going to do an extreme effort to lift that weight because they think they can, probably they're going to end up tearing something, and that's something I will encourage people to get.
and I think there's an underlying brilliant psychological aspect to this with dealing with clients, is that they want to see progress. And if you're moving from, using pounds, 5 pounds to 10 pounds, you're like, well, that's the next weight. That is a huge jump on some exercises, just like Carlos is saying. So if they're at 5 forever, they'll be thinking, well, I'm not getting any stronger. And if you jump to 10, now you're setting them up for failure. And they're like, well, I can't do that. Now I'm weak. So there's a strong psychological part to just incrementally improving them, so they see the path more so than these jumps and being bounced all around, because that wears on clients too. I'm not sure if you see that in your business.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, they all want to improve. And one thing I do with the clients in my business is that every time they finish a training phase, I go with them and I show the how much the strength in specific exercises increased. They go like, seriously? Am I doing that good? Yeah, you're doing that good. But if I try to do it, jumping from 5 to 10 pounds or from 10 to 15 pounds, you're not gonna see that ever. And it goes to another good principle, since you mentioned it, and it's the Kaizen principle, that is the never-ending improvement. So basically, you improve little by little every day, every training session, blah blah blah, and you will have a continuous increased improvement during the whole time you have the client with you, which is also amazing.
Yeah, it's a great point. I love that point. Let's do one more. We got a couple more minutes. If you don't mind me pressing you for one more suggestion, because I think
No, 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 no,
that
no,
last
no.
one is a lot of gold. It's almost like we should end on that great one. But we're having, I don't want to miss this opportunity to talk to you, Carlos.
No, of course, of course. Let me think about it. No, and we have. I mean, don't worry about being 15 minutes or 30 minutes. I'm happy to be here and honored to be here. Um, okay, there you in a gym, a right environment, a welcoming environment, and an environment where you can feel free to express yourself. It is important. Um,
How do you help foster that at your facility in Columbia?
Well, the first thing is that I have a lot of natural light. At 6 a.m., I turn off the lights. At 6 p.m., I turn them on again. That's it. So I have a lot of natural light. That gives a good environment, and sunlight will, just the fact of feeling it will provide more energy. The expression of themselves, of course, I receive all sorts of people from high performance athletes, something like a silver medalist in the world championships in weightlifting, to a regular client, a female that is 22 years old and probably, I don't know, 35% body fat, and she's ashamed of her body.
Mhm.
The first thing I said is, you shouldn't be ashamed of everything. You are taking the first step, and this first step is going to take you towards your goals, and you're going to reach your goals. Here you're free. You're free to be yourself. If you want to scream, scream. If you want to cry, cry. I don't care. Don't cry in front of me if I'm training you, but cry, because if somebody starts crying, I'll just go away. I feel bad. That's why I go away, not because they cannot. I've had a few, and and they know, and they learn, and they understand that they can be themselves. I have a big blessing there, and it's that I have a lot of gay people,
Mhm.
and in certain cases they are very, like, prevented, and sometimes very ashamed, and their posture is like this. And when you tell them, listen, you are who you are. I don't care any of your preferences. You are who you are. I appreciate you. I appreciate that you're here. Express yourself any way you want. And you know what? That creates community between them. And they understand each other, and they start becoming friends. And then they go like, hey, how did it go last night? Like people that have never talked in their lives, and because they're free to express themselves and making jokes and blah 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 blah, they become friends, and they start loving going to the gym when you allow that freedom of expression and freedom of whatever you want, like personality, right? And that to me is extremely important. I have had people screaming, dropping weight, and I've had people that the only goes and lives, and the only hear is noise you hear is like, and that's it, because that's how they breathe, and no more. And people that doesn't talk, and people that do talk, and it becomes like a nice place to go. And that's what I meant of the welcoming environment. You have to make it in such a way that people will love to go to your place. Would love to go to your place, first because they are going to get results. Second, because they are going to get good training programs and so on, good progressions, blah blah blah. And third, because they are going to be inside an environment that is an environment that is amazing for them. They feel great. So
And
that's kind of another one.
I think that one's a critical one. And while you were talking, I was just thinking about how we kind of set it up here and how I've seen how us fail in the past, where the conversation you had that you explained where they get to be free to be themselves is a brilliant one. I think the underlying brilliance of it is communicating a standard set of principles when people come into the gym. Now, it might be different than somebody else's, but when you come in to a personal training or you're paying for someone, they probably don't have a lot of gym experience, and they're going to be uncomfortable unless you tell them the parameters of the gym. Like, hey, you might hear someone grunt a little bit; they're just doing their thing, and then all of a sudden that brings down that barrier. Like, oh, okay, so that's not a bad thing. Like, you can smile, you can do whatever your protocol is. It's important to explain it to people so they don't come in and just assume it, and your culture almost develops without you controlling it that way. And I think it eases a lot of fears if you have that communication up front. So that's why I like that so much, Carlos.
I agree with you. It eases a lot of fears, and that's important. That's very important, at least in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I don't want scared people.
Of
Everyone's in the
course.
corner, hiding in the dark corners.
Yeah,
Carlos,
I mean, if you're one of those coaches that scream at the people, and that don't drop the weights, or don't breathe that hard, or like you're that, like, kind of very militant person. Yeah, some people will work like that, but not the vast majority of of clients that go for personal training.
Exactly. And you have to know your demographic that way. We're not talking, commercial
Absolutely.
open gym where no one's communicating the rules. They just kind of come in and use equipment. It's a very different environment. And Carlos, I've loved our talk today. I want to tell the listeners where they can learn more about you because you're talking and speaking. Where can
If
they?
you have if you have 1 minute, I have one more that I would
Oh
like
yeah,
to share.
absolutely. Go ahead, please do.
All right, safety. Safety is extremely important. Uh, you will have clients that want to go like I want to go heavier, like I can lift more, like I can do more, and then you start seeing that the form of the movement is starting to get deteriorated, or it's not that great. So it's a very fine line between getting a great result and injuring someone. It's a very fine line, and unless you are training high performance athletes that are going whether to world championships or Olympics, don't get that close to that line. It's not worth it. Your clients are not gonna get a significant benefit if you stay, I would say, 90% close to that line instead of being on top of the line, and you will save yourself a lot of headaches because just one person injured in your gym because of a bad weight, a bad form, it could be even the client's fault because it was not paying attention, whatever, is going to bring your business down because the first thing they're going to ask, what happened? I got injured. Where? At the gym. Which gym? Is the first thing they're going to ask. So stay safe, keep safe, all the equipment safe, of course, but in terms of loading people, stay on the safe side and don't try to go too much unless it's an athlete that actually and specifically needs that.
Yeah, and in terms of general population, usually when they're trying to push themselves to a higher weight, they're communicating to you they need to see progress. And you need to control that as a coach and choose the right exercise. So we might do a 500-meter row, go all out. I mean, it's a less injury prone exercise than like max out military press above your head for an adult. Or we'll use wall passes like, all right, we're going to do this, pass this ball off the wall for 1 minute, count your reps. We'll do it again next month. It's a fairly safe way for them to see progress. So don't let them control your training program by saying, I want to max out squat, bench press. We're talking general pop people. Give them something else to satiate that need
Mm,
and then do it in a safe way so they get what they want, which is they want to see progress, and you get what they really need, which is their safety.
exactly. 100% agree with you.
Beautiful. All right, Carlos, where can people learn more about you? I'm glad we got that in.
All right. So the website is strength-community.com.
And what
And
else?
on the Facebook is Strength Community, and Instagram is Strength Community 01. So I post articles every week. I do a video every week of any research paper that I found interesting. It's just 1 minute video. I'm not a big fan of wasting time watching like historical explanation for 10 minutes and then the meat of the video is 1 minute or less. So that's why I keep them short. Articles, I try to keep them to the point. And as I said, strength-community.com.
And I'll
And
put that link in the description for sure, so you guys can click right over to it because I just brought up the website now, and I'm going to check it out myself. So I'm looking forward to it, Carlos. Thank you so much for your time today.
thank you, Joe. Thank you for your time. Thank you for having me on your show. It's been a pleasure.